everyone, today we're going to take a look at this 2021 Infiniti QX80. This is a big V8 powered full-size SUV. It makes about 400 horsepower. It can tow up to 8,500 pounds and it's rated by the EPA at 15 miles per gallon combined. The QX80 follows a proven formula. It's just not the most modern take on a full-size SUV. It's been about 10 model years since this thing was last fully redesigned. But anyway, let's do a little tour of the QX80 and then take it for a short drive. So styling on this thing has been about the same since it was introduced back in the 2011 model year. It's been updated twice. First was for 2014, second was for 2018. Either way, though, it hasn't changed too much over the past decade. This thing is built on the same platform, or well, it's really more of a rebadged Nissan Patrol. The Patrol is now the underpinnings of the Armada as of a couple years back, but the QX80 here has been built on the same basic platform and, well, really the same basic body and much of the same interior as the Nissan Patrol that's sold in foreign markets and has been on sale again in its current generation for about 10 years. LED headlights, there's a darkened chrome grille, so it's not bright chrome, it's like a darker color. This one's riding on 22-inch wheels. This is a premium select trim, so it's not the top tier model. It's pretty much middle of the pack. Sticker on this one's about $80,000. Moving down the side here, another one of the QX80's design hallmarks is this vent on the fender here. You'll notice built-in running boards. This one's got a 360-degree camera system. Nissan and Infiniti are pretty good at those camera systems. Door handles on this one feel a little bit dated. You'll notice accessing the vehicle requires you to press a button to lock and unlock it. Most vehicles are now touch sensitive. So moving around to the back, you'll notice a trim piece that connects the taillights. It says Infiniti there, and there's a silver trim piece on top of the bumper. Power liftgate, as there should be on an $80,000 SUV. So this one is set up to seat 7. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. You can also get this with a no-cost option second row bench that would increase seating capacity to 8. But as you would expect, there's a lot of room back here. Obviously, you can put the third row seats up. You get about this much cargo area. With them down though, there's significantly more. They are power operated, so put up the one on the right here. Takes a minute. Sometimes I prefer manually operated seats just because it's so much faster. But there we are, we made it. You'll notice there's a fair amount of legroom for that third row. Anyway, let's hop inside. So here's the window sticker. 2021 Infiniti QX80 Premium Select 4-wheel drive as equipped. This one comes in at $79,490, so it's just shy of 80 grand. EPA rates this one, given that it's an all-wheel drive model, at 13 mpg city, 19 highway, 15 combined. Features include a 13-speaker Bose audio system. The QX80 had its infotainment system updated for 2020, so you now get Android Auto and Apple CarPlay. There's a Wi-Fi hotspot, high beam assist, predictive forward collision warning, forward emergency braking, blind spot monitoring, blind spot intervention, lane departure warning, lane departure prevention, 360-degree camera. Pretty much par for the course for a big luxury SUV. So if you've been in any modern Nissan or Infiniti products, you'll probably recognize this setup here. This gauge cluster has made its way into most Nissan vehicles by now. You'll notice 2 mechanical gauges on either side there and then a screen in between them. Infotainment setup still leaves a lot to be desired. Infiniti's dual screen setup here feels very dated. This is a relatively modern screen. It's just positioned really low. I mean, you really have to take your eyes off the road to read it. And then above it is this really antiquated navigation screen that you control via this dial right here. It doesn't really work together though. This is a modern screen, this is an old screen. Having this here is just kind of silly. It just really doesn't mesh together. I think they should have invested more into a new infotainment system for the QX80 and frankly for most of the Infiniti lineup. Moving around the interior though, and this thing is pretty nice. It does feel a little bit dated. It's somewhat utilitarian. This thing has its roots in the Nissan Patrol. You could really kind of look at it as a rebadged and slightly rebodied version of the Nissan Patrol, which is a full-size SUV sold in foreign markets like the Middle East and Australia. That's a pretty utilitarian vehicle. It's kind of similar to the Toyota Land Cruiser. So you can get a little bit of that in the QX80 here. It's got big, chunky utilitarian grab handles. Overall, it's just pretty big. Wide center console. Center console storage box could be a little bit bigger. Not as much room in there as you would expect. Seats are comfortable though, perforated leather. This is a really nice light colored interior. It's pretty bright and airy in here, given the size of the greenhouse. Center console includes gear selector for the 7-speed automatic transmission. You've got that weird navigation control right here, and then this controls the 4-wheel drive system. So the QX80 has what I refer to as full-time 4-wheel drive. So there's a 4-wheel drive auto mode. You just leave it in that when you're driving, and it sends power to whichever wheels need it. And you've also got 4 high and then a 4 low. There's a tow mode, a snow mode, and a way to turn off stability control as well. Cup holder here is covered by this big panel. Again, this feels like real wood. It's a charming wood, I guess. I just don't really see the need for wood in car interiors anymore. You get 2 cup holders there, and then kind of a storage tray. There's another tray right here. No wireless charging pad in this $80,000 vehicle, which is kind of funny. USB-A and a USB-C port though, and then there's a 12-volt outlet that says socket on it. Really big, actually. And yeah, just a regular old 12-volt outlet. Let's hop in the back. Second row is quite big. This is a full-size SUV. As I mentioned, this is a 7-passenger model, and that's because it has this big center console right here. It's kind of silly, actually. It doesn't really do anything. You can't move it. It does have 2 cup holders and then a box, and then you can actually access the front console box via the second row, which is an interesting touch. I like that feature. That said, while this thing offers a lot of storage, it comes at the expense of being able to haul 1 extra passenger. Usually when you opt for captain's chairs, you do that so that you have more room in the second row and so that people can walk basically from the second row to the third row. But with this big console box here, that again, you can't move it. It's really plasticky. I see it as just eliminating 1 extra seating position. And I really don't see the benefit. It seems like a bad design, honestly. And I would probably go for the no-cost option bench seat here in the second row. Not much else to see in the second row. There are some HVAC controls, but no heated seats back here. There is a USB port for both of the second row passengers, and yeah, that's really about it. Let's try to hop into that third row. All right, so here we are in the third row, and I could tolerate it back here. I've got enough space for my feet. Not the biggest third row, but let's see. Oh, it reclines. Interesting. So there are 2 cup holders back here, and then a recline feature. No USB ports. There are overhead air vents. Grab handles, actually a lot of overhead air vents. I imagine that's for the Middle East in particular, where it gets up to 120, 130 degrees. Middle seatbelt back here comes out of the ceiling. There is a dome light. It's just positioned pretty far back. And yeah, that's about it. So nothing too special about this third row. It works, but it's not the biggest third row. If you've got a lot of kids to haul around though, this will work. And the occasional adult, I guess. Okay, driving the QX80. There's 50, so pretty good acceleration out of the V8. It's Nissan's 5.6 liter V8. It's in the Titan, the Armada, and the QX80 here. Makes about 400 horsepower. This one still uses a 7-speed automatic transmission, which I find to be plenty smooth. The Titan, though, gained a 9-speed with its 2020 model year update. I'm waiting for that 9-speed to make its way into the Armada and the QX80. It's going to be even smoother than this 7-speed here, which is somewhat dated by now. So the top tier Infiniti QX80 Sensory comes with a hydraulic suspension. This one is a premium select model though, so it's the middle tier, one down from the Sensory. So it just has a mechanical suspension. Still, I find it to be pretty smooth actually. Here's our speed bumps here. So that one was at about 14 miles per hour. Second one coming up, we're gonna hit it at about 20 miles per hour. And the third one here we'll do at about 22. Nothing too crazy out of any of those. Steering wheel feels pretty nice in the hand. It's not the thickest steering wheel. You might expect something a little bit more substantial out of an $80,000 luxury SUV. Steering wheel itself, like the actual buttons and things, are again a pretty familiar layout if you've been in any modern Nissan product. Some people might view that as a drawback. If you're buying an Infiniti, you want something different than you get in a Nissan Titan, and unfortunately the steering wheels between these two vehicles are shared. Like I said, I don't really love this infotainment setup. It feels half-baked. It feels like kind of a lazy effort from Nissan Infiniti. The bottom screen, which is the main screen, shows like what's playing on the radio. That's a higher resolution screen. That's the screen that's used in many modern Nissan products. This upper screen though is left over from, geez, probably a decade of Infiniti design language. So it's dated. It doesn't feel necessary. I'd prefer all the information just be displayed on one screen. I think that's what most people have come to understand about how infotainment systems work. This one splits it across two screens. Again, the most prominent screen is the navigation screen. I know Infiniti appeals probably to an older buyer who might still be using built-in navigation, but it's just not necessary to give it its own screen. And it is especially unnecessary for that screen to be controlled by its own little bank of controls on the center console. It's just a really disjointed setup. It's not the strong point of this vehicle, I'll put it that way. No real surprises though from the QX80. It passes as a luxury SUV. The appointments are decently high-end. It still remains somewhat utilitarian, which is nice. If you're buying an SUV, you want to be able to use it to tow. You want to be able to use it to haul a lot of people, to haul a lot of things, to take on road trips. Areas where it is going to see some abuse. And the QX80 here seems completely passable in that regard. Check out the camera system here. So put it into reverse. Backup cameras aren't the worst. They're not the best though. Again, you've got all this screen real estate and only the top screen shows any kind of surround view camera views. So you've got backup camera off to the left here that takes up, I don't know, maybe a fourth of the overall screen real estate, and then taking up about a third is this 360-degree top-down view. That's a system that Nissan has had for over a decade now. They were one of the earliest companies to offer this 360-degree camera system. Way back then it was pretty cool. Now it's somewhat ubiquitous, but you know, Nissan's has had all the kinks worked out at least. So it's a pretty decent system. All right, so there is your look at the 2021 Infiniti QX80. This vehicle has a lot of competitors. You could say the updated Nissan Armada is a competitor to the QX80, even though they're basically the same vehicle, and the QX80 is supposed to be the luxury version of the Armada. I would cross-shop this with the Armada. That vehicle is still somewhat premium compared to the rest of Nissan's more mainstream lineup. So if you want to save a couple bucks on the QX80, know that the Armada was given a facelift for 2021. It has a better infotainment setup than this. It has arguably more modern exterior styling than this. I think the Armada is definitely worth a look as well if you're looking for a big SUV like this. Toyota Land Cruiser, Lexus LX 570. The QX80 attempts to be to the Armada what the LX 570 is to the Toyota Land Cruiser. Unfortunately, the Patrol, the Armada, the QX80, they're just slightly, at least here in the US, they're slightly lower caliber vehicles than the Toyota Land Cruiser and Lexus LX 570. So their interior and feature sets aren't quite as nice as what you get out of the Land Cruiser and the LX, and then their resale value isn't as high as well. So keep that in mind. Elsewhere throughout the automotive landscape, you've got the Lincoln Navigator, the Cadillac Escalade, you've got the upcoming Jeep Grand Wagoneer, you've got the Range Rover, you've got the BMW X7, the Mercedes-Benz GLS. This thing's still a little bit bigger than anything offered by Audi, but there are plenty of competitors out there to the QX80. I think this vehicle is going to cost slightly less than any of those, just based on what I see here. You're probably going to get a little bit greater of a financial incentive when it comes to purchasing this vehicle. Like I said, this one stickers for about $80,000, but I'd hope you'd pay thousands less than that, just given that the design is still somewhat dated. It's a little bit more utilitarian than anything you get from the Europeans. It's not quite as modern or as premium feeling as what you get from the Americans, but still, it's a big, capable, full-size SUV. It's great for towing, it's great for hauling a lot of people, and it's going to offer you pretty good reliability over the course of its life. And I think that about sums up the QX80 here. Thanks for watching.